The murders of Kaylee, Madison, Ethan, and Xana shocked the University of Idaho community. It stunned the nation, but its biggest impact was on the families of the victims. Lives which have been shattered, hearts that have been broken. It is way beyond tragic. Tonight, in a Court TV exclusive, Kaylee Painter rides along with Kaylee's father as he pays tribute to his daughter on her birthday.
You go from, okay, they just told us that our babies, 2 of our babies are gone. At that moment, you feel so lost that you're like, okay, I have a million questions, but there's nobody to call. There's no pamphlet to read.
Then, Kaylee speaks in depth about the immense impact all of this has had on the family and how they are dealing with it.
You know, you replace the negative with the positive, and I've got lots of positives. I've gotten 2 grandbabies since this whole thing went down, and we're focusing on those girls, and you know, we've got work to do in the future, but just one day at a time.
Tonight, we are live from Moscow, Idaho, as the families prepare for tomorrow's court hearing in the Idaho students' murder case.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. This hour is going to be important. It's going to be important. We cover murder trials a lot here at Court TV, a lot. And sometimes what gets lost in everything that happens is what's really happening. The loss. And in the case of what happened in Idaho, I mean, it's unspeakable. It's really unspeakable on many different levels. But to me, it always comes back to these young people, this group of young people. I look at them, it's like you're looking at the cast of Friends or something, right? That, you know, they're doing things together, they're young, they're full of energy, they're full of life, and they're ready. They're getting ready to make their mark. And college is supposed to be that time when you start to figure things out, start to think about the future, and start to plan everything that's out in front of you. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing time. And you know, I remember, you know, you're thinking like, where am I going to end up? Where am I going to live? What am I going to do? What's this journey going to be like? And that's the exciting part. And then when you take that journey, it's amazing. And they never got to do that. Never got to do that. The impact of this is unspeakable as well, especially to the families. You know, I'm a parent too. And you know, you send your children, if you're able to, you send them off to college, and you know, you're always worried, right? You're always worried a little bit, but you're excited too. And the best part is they go to school, and every time they come back, they're a little bit different. They're a little bit more, you know, they're growing up, they're experiencing things, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Yeah, it's sad a little bit because they're getting big and they're growing, but it's so exciting because you know how excited they are. And that loss now, that loss that these families have suffered is forever, is forever. The loss is forever. And you have to figure out how to move on, how to continue. But you can never get away from it because you'll never forget your child. You'll never forget your brother. You'll never forget your sister. Never. Kaylee Painter. She's out in Idaho and doing really important work for us in speaking with the families. You know, she's been reporting on the evidence, the crime scene, the facts, the motions, the legal stuff. All of that is so significant. But what she's doing today and what you'll see tonight, to me, brings us to why it's important to shine a light on all these cases that we can. So people can really understand that when you watch a trial on Court TV, or you go down to a courthouse, or if you're a juror sitting in that box, what has happened and what it really, really means. And you're going to see that tonight because she was able to spend a lot of time with Kaylee's dad. And we've seen him a lot. You know, he's been very much out there. But this is going to be different. This is different tonight. This is in a different setting. It's much more revealing, much more real. And I'm so glad that he allowed us to see that. And I want to bring in, joining us live tonight from Idaho, Court TV legal correspondent, Chanley Painter. Chanley, great to see you tonight. I am really, I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing everything that you did today. And I know the folks at home are as well. And today, of all days, right, it's Kaylee's birthday.
Yeah, Vinny, what an honor it was for me covering this story for months from the beginning. You know, we were on the ground to spend what would have been Kaylee's 22nd birthday with her father, her advocate, her warrior, who's been out on the front lines from day one, seeking answers and justice, not only for Kaylee, his daughter, but for Maddie, for Ethan, for Xana, for the community. And that's what today was about, honoring Kaylee's life. Someone, he said, would have loved to have been the center of attention. She was the middle child. She thrived on being the center of attention, and they wanted to honor her today by a Pay It Forward campaign called Kaylee Jade Day for her birthday. And he allowed us to go along with him, like you said, as he talked about who she was, what she would have been doing on her birthday, probably on a nearby lake with Maddie, celebrating her birthday. She just bought herself a new vehicle. But he told me about, of course, his favorite memories of her birthday and what he misses about her the most. Let's watch.
Kaylee, I remember her tearing up a cake and just making a big mess, getting it in her hair. So she was just so excited about when everyone was focused around her, and she was the center of attention, and everybody was giving her gifts, and she always had her friends over from school. And I have a lot of memories of when she was young and she had that crazy hairdo.
What do you miss most about her?
I missed her smile, and that she was so giving. She really wanted to be like, every morning wake up and be like, I'm gonna go get breakfast, what do you guys want? You know, I'm gonna get coffee, what do you guys want? We're a big family, so it was nice to have somebody that was always thinking about going and doing something and then helping other people along the way. So I'll always miss that, and I'll miss that smile and the hug. Yeah.
And he said the goal of today, and really of all of the families now and really to the future, is to make sure, do everything they can to ensure that it's the victims' names that people remember. When years from now, decades from now, they don't think of the man's name who is alleged to have murdered them, but they remember Kaylee, Xana, Ethan, and Maddie's name as the positive force and impact they had on this community and their loss had on this community, Vinny.
Yeah, I've chosen not to say the name. I do that in a lot of these stories, mass murders. And, you know, sometimes you cover a trial, the name's going to be there. There's going to be a trial. You're going to hear it a ton of times. But I think in this case, you're going to hear those four names, and you're going to remember those four names, because that's what everyone's talking about, and that's good. So let's talk about the place where you were many, many times reporting on this case, which was the crime scene, the house where they lived, which turned, I think of the house, I think of it two ways. I think of it one way, like here's where they all lived together and they had some good times, and you know, they're starting to learn to be adults, they're having parties, friends are over, and you know, this is it, the big last hurrah for some of them as seniors. But then it's turned into this horrific crime scene. So what do the families want done with this property at this point?
Well, they would like it to be preserved, Vinny, and we know we've reported that the university now owns that property. They have plans to demolish the home this summer. I checked back in with the spokesperson of the University of Idaho today. She confirmed that to me. I asked for a specific date. She says they don't have a specific date just yet for when it is to be demolished, but she said they are working through the process. And this is what Steve told me about why they don't want anything to happen to the home.
We communicated with some other families. There's 3 families that are concerned with that. We're trying to make sure that, that all the proper steps are done. There's audio, that from my understanding, and if there's audio, I don't understand how you could take a house down and not say that people are going to want to hear those sounds from the location of the recording from inside the house, dog barking, things like that. So we'll try to do everything, and something like that is just evidence. It's not for or against, it's just evidence, so that's why we're trying to protect it.
It's evidence to be preserved. That's his position, and it may behoove the state to keep it standing, because if you're there in person, Vinny, it does make a difference to see how close this home is to the neighbor's camera that picked up the audio that Steve was referring to. But he also told me that at the last hearing, he spoke to the prosecutor, Bill Thompson, and the prosecutor said that this is going to be a long road for the families. They may not have all the answers for 3 years, Vinny, so this house would have to be standing for a long time in the middle of this community.
It's fascinating that he wants the house preserved as evidence for the trial, because there could be a jury view. We see it in many, many cases. In the Murdaugh case, they went back to the scene. It helped the jury to figure it out. It became great evidence for the prosecution in that case, even though prosecutors didn't want to necessarily go there. I am with them on that, by the way. I think in some states, there's like a view in almost every case. Like Massachusetts, very common. So I'm with them there. They should preserve it, because it is the scene. I understand the university from their perspective, but there's a criminal trial for a mass murderer, and doing everything you can to ensure a conviction should be the first priority, absolute first priority, because we know how things can go south inside a courtroom sometimes. I've seen it. Okay. Does he have any theory about the motive?
Yeah, he does, Vinny. I asked him, what's the connection? Because it's been rumored, Kaylee and or Maddie were the targets of this mass murder. He told me something I hadn't heard him or his family say before about why they think the alleged killer actually went to that home and murdered them. And remember, Maddie and Kaylee were on the 3rd floor. They were in the same room in the bed together, likely the place this murderer started. And so here's what he had to say about it.
They're just 2 girls that were always happy, always filming. So I think maybe he just seen that happiness, and there's something in him that was jealous of the fact that 2 people could love each other and be like the best friends. And I think that really rubbed him wrong and got him thinking about, well, why do they have this great life and I don't? And I think that's whoever he picked, that'll be the backstory, is just a jealousy of their lifestyle.
So he believes that allegedly this man was jealous of this lifestyle they were living. We know based on the affidavit, Vinny, that the alleged murderer visited this area of the crime scene 12 prior times before the murders actually took place. We know there's a lot of search warrants that are sealed in the court files of a digital trail of all types of social media, online outlets that could be revealing. We don't know everything because of the gag order, of course, but also Steve tells me he's not sure if this is the first time that this murderer allegedly did kill, but hopefully he wants those answers as soon as possible.
Yeah, Kaylee and Maddie were living their best lives. They were, and Kaylee graduating early, getting ready for a job, all these other things. Amazing stuff. All right. Now, this is Idaho. Death penalty is the law in Idaho. Prosecutors can seek it. A jury can make a decision on it. Do they support the death penalty in this case?
Absolutely, they do. He told me that's why they moved to Idaho, because it has the maximum punishment like that, Vinny. And he says the person responsible for these murders should receive the highest level of punishment. And he says there is enough evidence in this case that it's over for this guy. Let's watch. The death penalty, you support it, right?
We definitely do. Yep, that's part of the reason we moved to Idaho. You know, we want a community that protects the most vulnerable, and that's something that if a father can't protect them, then you hope that the society is willing to step up and do the right thing. So that's what we're looking for. The ultimate form of justice is that.
So Steve said he wouldn't be surprised if this defendant tries to seek a plea for a lesser sentence, Vinny, but he believes that the person responsible will actually receive the max. I mean, all the evidence is there, and they want him to be sentenced to death.
Yeah, you know, if you're looking at mass murder, you're looking at cruel murder, face-to-face, knife, pain involved, suffering involved in all of this. I've spoken to death investigators looking at the evidence that we have. Seems like there's a strong argument for it. We'll see what prosecutors decide in this case. Meanwhile, the defense, they don't want the world to see this trial, do they?
They don't. We had our hands on some brand new motions from the defense team asking this judge to limit media coverage and cameras inside the courtroom. They're saying that there's numerous social media posts that have people overanalyzing this man's body language, according to the court filings, and they say that audio-visual coverage has just become an obsession almost of creating unfounded opinions in the media, and it's prejudicial and unfair to his right to a fair trial. And this was Steve Goncalves' response to that.
If you're not a personable person and you give off weird vibes, yeah, you probably don't want nobody to actually see the truth, see who you are, and read you for how you behave. You can't hide the truth, man. I'm so tired of the secretive and all that stuff. I want this stuff to be out in the open. There's more than enough evidence for people to make a decision, and how can the truth contaminate anything?
And of course, we know Kohberger, he's going to trial in October. Will we have cameras? Will we not? It may be brought up tomorrow in the hearings that we expect to cover in the courtroom. So far, we have cameras in there tomorrow, Vinny, about this gag order, and likely they'll bring up these other issues as well.
He just made the best argument, and I think, you know, we should be making a court TV. Your Honor, how can the truth contaminate anything? How can the truth? You put a camera in the courtroom, you hear the evidence. You don't hear someone saying, well, someone said this inside the courtroom, which may or may not be true. You get to see it and hear it. So how on earth does the truth contaminate anything? I love that. That is amazing. All right. Chanley's staying with us, folks. There's much, much more to this interview. Chanley drove around Kaylee's neighborhood and true insight into today. That's coming up. Plus, coming up next hour.
Another verdict day at Court TV in Manchester, New Hampshire. Adam Montgomery, the father of missing 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery, hears from the jury on his weapons charges.
Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty. A Michigan daughter now facing a murder charge.
Megan Amirowitz is accused of throwing lye and water on her own father while he was sleeping.
The chemical reaction caused severe burns and ultimately his death.
Police caught up with the daughter, and she was arrested soon after.
The teen faces life in prison if convicted.
And Court TV will bring you inside the courtroom for every moment.
The Sleeping Father murder trial. Live coverage begins Monday morning, only on Court TV.
I want every parent to be able to have an opportunity to speak about their child and the nuances of what made them special. And then our ultimate goal is where people remember these kids and remember how bad this situation was, but it's them that they remember and not the person who did it. This person needs to disappear. When it's over and said with, they're not important. They're just a mistake that we let fall through our society's cracks, and we corrected that, and now we can, you know, really kind of assess how much we lost when we lost these children.
And we're talking about Ethan, Kaylee, Madison, and Xana. Well, this is what this story, this case, and this trial will be about. What happened to these 4 young people. Chanley Painter is still with us in Idaho tonight. She spent some time, a lot of time actually, with Kaylee's father. And he did something special today to honor his daughter on her birthday.
He sure did. Today, like I told you earlier, is Kaylee Jade Day here in the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area. And Steve allowed me to exclusively ride along with him as he kicked off the day to pay it forward. He delivered cash to several local coffee stands, places where Kaylee and Maddie worked growing up and living here in the area, so that they could give free coffees to local customers who stopped by and inspire them to also pay it forward in Kaylee's honor for the day. He said this community has given so much to him and his family that he wanted to pay them back. Let's watch.
Plan today is we are going to go to a couple different locations. We're doing this Pay It Forward campaign, and we're actually driving her car. I'll never see this car as mine. She paid for it. She knew I liked Range Rovers, but I was into the diesel Range Rover. But she felt like this was a super cute car, which probably is, but that's why it's hard for me to drive it. But today we'll be driving her car, and we'll be doing these Pay It Forward. I remember for months, Christy's like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And you could tear it in that birthday from being a super stressful event to something that, you know that at least you're doing something to help people. You know, unfortunately, when something like this happens, you don't know what to do. Somebody knocks on your door, and it's real at that moment when the police officer does that. So then you go from, okay, they just told us that our babies, 2 of our babies are gone, and they give you a business card and tell you to, call tomorrow and maybe you'll get some more details. At that moment, you feel so lost that you're like, okay, I have a million questions, but there's nobody to call. All right, so we're at the Ramsey. Yep, Renee at Ramsey. These guys were amazing. These guys did everything to help us. So I'm glad I'm able to them. I think I'm gonna go to this first window. Hello? Hi. Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you guys. We're doing a Pay It Forward, so your meal's gonna be free. You guys helped us out with fundraising. We wanted to give back to you guys.
Oh, well, thank you.
Your establishment has been amazing.
Oh,
thank you. Give me some. I'd give you a hug if I could.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
All right, you guys have a great day. Oh, see, they're already here. They even already had it, so I knew these were the right people. No, thank you. Like every day you wake up, you think like, well, I need to do something to help find this person. There's like a clue out there that needs to be found, and that's kind of how we were going at it. I remember feeling like this is exhausting. And then when we finally had a suspect, and the relief that you feel knowing that, okay, some answers will actually come and be answered, and that to me is one of the things that keeps you going. It makes you, wake up every morning and know that even though you're hurting, there's gonna be some meaning. Families realize that when a case like this big goes, a lot of times they want to label it after the person who did the atrocity, and we are doing everything. All families, we've all agreed on this, to bring up stories and the memories and the narratives of our children, so then people remember our children and they don't just remember the person who acted out and did these things. That's the last thing we want them to just remember the killer and then never remember the victims.
My daughter used to work with you guys.
Okay.
Kaylee Goncalves. We're gonna go have a dinner. We're gonna hang out at the swimming pool. Our family's coming over, do a little barbecue. Thank you. Have a great day.
We felt like we picked a really safe state in a safe community. We left the city in California where we'd be awoken in different times of the night with sirens and shootings and things. So, and then when this happened, I was like, who in Idaho would do this? Who would be capable of doing that in our community? And I remember talking to one of the officers. We've always tried to put some, like, emphasis on saying we appreciate all the hard work, everything that they've done, and we know that we would not have justice without those men and those women. You know, we were just in the court, you know, a few weeks ago, and we got a little bit of time to talk to Thompson, and Thompson was, he said, it could be 3 years before you guys have any answers, and I was just like, wow. Wow, that's hard to hear. So,
what would you most like answered?
I want to just see the evidence, really. I just want them to come out and say, this is our case before, this is what they've got to prepare for. I mean, they have it, so let's just bring it out. I don't understand how that can be the truth. How can that be something that's going to contaminate a jury?
Yeah, here's we're gonna start to pay it forward for.
Oh, you're awesome. People have already started.
All right, well, thank you. I'm glad they didn't have to wait. You guys have a great day.
Great job.
Thank you, guys. See you guys. We want to make them a part of this whole thing because it spreads the news, it spreads kindness, and you know when the most ugliest things happen to you, you either can become ugly or you can spread some kindness, and that's what we're going for, and that's what you know. These girls would have wanted us to turn this into something that made us happy and stronger.
And Vinny, one of those coffee stands, Renee's on Ramsey, where I was live before the weather became precarious. We had to move inside now, but they gave away over 100 coffees and meals today. And they said that people were so inspired that they started donating cash as well, where they're going to be able to pay Steve back for what he donated, plus a lot more for the families. So the Goncalves family hopes that this tradition, of course, continues every year in honor of Kaylee's birthday.
You know, it really struck a chord with me is when Steve was talking about moving to Idaho and why he moved there. You know, every time my family's moved, right, you have to pack everyone up and go somewhere when you're in our business, and you're moving to a new area. You know, you scout the area and you say, all right, where's the safest place? What's the safest street in the safest community? And I so much relate to what he did. And he did everything out of the city. And cities are fine, but he wanted to be someplace that was a little bit better, that he felt was safer, right? And to have that shattered as well is so heartbreaking. This is the dad who's trying to do everything, who did everything right, and still has to deal with this incredible heartbreak. It's unreal. It's unreal. Chanley, thanks so much for doing that. And please, next time you speak with Steve, tell him thank you as well. Because what he did was important. I thought it was really important and made it so real. And one other observation from him, and you can see it in his eyes when he's talking about Kaylee and talking about the case, but then when you see him interacting with people, the smile comes on, and it looks like that is the medicine for him. Giving back and interacting, and it was, I could see it work right in front of our eyes. So that was amazing also. Okay, let's get back to business now. We're all gonna be in court tomorrow. Tell us about tomorrow's hearing.
Yes, there are a couple of key hearings tomorrow around the gag order, Vinny. Steve tells me they're going to watch remotely. In fact, their family attorney, Shannon Gray, will Zoom in to argue. He had a long pending motion to modify or clarify a rather expansive gag order. That's going to be taken up first, and then we're going to hear from the media coalition who's fighting to vacate the order altogether. Steve Goncalves and family are in support of taking down this gag order. Let's watch.
We've pushed back on the gag orders because it replaces the real media with, people that are trying to be the media, and some of them don't do a very good job of sourcing, and most of them don't. And even in the real media, they can make those mistakes. So I feel like a gag order just breeds misinformation.
So that will be taken up tomorrow, Vinny, and then there's also a key hearing June 27th. There's several outstanding motions from the defense about discovery, about grand jury materials, the cameras in motion. Hopefully we can have our cameras in the courtroom that day too. We'll find out.
Okay. Again, Steve, right on. Gag orders, bring us misinformation and also violate the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. We're going to be having that discussion in the 9 o'clock hour tonight with our think tank. Chanley, Painter, amazing work. We'll speak again. Thank you so much. All right, folks, when we come back, the accused killer. I'm not going to say his name. You know who I'm talking about? Wait till you see the photograph that we found of him and exactly where he was. Jaw-dropping. Next. On the next episode of Accomplice to Murder.
Renee and Brett met when they were in high school.
Most of the time they were at each other's throats.
She was having an affair.
They were celebrating their anniversary right before her boyfriend confronted them on the beach and shot him.
She had to be a part of it.
I just knew that he was going to kill me next.
Did you kill Brent Poole?
Absolutely not.
Accomplice to Murder with Vinny Politan. All new episode, Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
Now I'm awake. My name is Alfred. I had another name.
Ladies, I have to let you go. It's the law now.
They needed to do it this way. All the bank accounts and the jobs all at the same time. You imagine the airports otherwise?
Run! No, please don't take her.
You girls will serve the leaders and their barren wives. You will bear children for them.
Whew! That clip was from the popular Hulu original series, The Handmaid's Tale, a fictional show about a dystopian society where women are forced to reproduce for the ruling class. The series premiered on Hulu in 2017, but is based on the 1985 best-selling novel by Margaret Atwood. And in 2018, the author, Margaret Atwood, gave a lecture at Northampton Community College in Pennsylvania. And now a picture from that lecture has surfaced. And sitting there in the front row, the accused Idaho killer, holding what appears to be is a copy of The Handmaid's Tale. How about that, folks? We need to analyze this. Joining me now in Los Angeles, California, senior reporter for DailyMail.com, Caitlin Becker is with us. Also in Los Angeles, need her tonight, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, columnist of Inside the Criminal Mind, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Great to see you both tonight. Caitlin Becker, your thoughts tonight on this photo that has surfaced. I'll be honest, I have not watched the series. People have described it to me. I get the gist of it. This is kind of creepy.
It's very creepy. I've watched the series, I've read the book. But the thing about Margaret Atwood is she is a feminist writer. And as you can see from that photo, Brian is one of very few, if any, men in this group. So I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but there is something about this that doesn't surprise me. Everything that we know about Bryan Kohberger, based on what people who know him have said, he's very intellectually arrogant. And I could see someone like him sitting in this group and trying to outsmart the author. And we don't know if he said anything, but he's right there front and center. He's creepy. It's creepy. But it doesn't surprise me. I think I am alone in that, though.
Dr. Carol Lieberman, give us a little analysis here. What's going on?
Well, I think that picture is really so telling. You know, he looks relatively innocent there compared to what we know about him now, allegedly. He's sitting in the first row center. I think he was a fan. You know, how much he appreciated that what she was writing about, you know, how women were subjugated and, you know, really it was a sort of a spoof or a sarcastic take on this. You know, she wasn't saying that this is a good idea to have in society, but she provided him with fodder for his fantasies. So I think he was a fan of hers and he wanted to get up close and personal with her.
Caitlin, can you tell us a little bit more about the show and the book, since you're a fan? You know, I know very little about it. I may have to watch it now, though.
You know, I had to stop watching it, Vinny, because at a certain point, it started to get a little too close to what our society was kind of turning into. In the book, essentially, reproduction has halted. The propagation of the species was a problem, and so the fertile women who were left over became subjugated, and they were essentially hired out as surrogates to bear the children of the wealthy. And you heard in that clip, her name was Offred. It's of Fred. You lose your name and you become of the man, the family that you are serving. So I don't know if Bryan Kohberger in this case was looking for his of Brian, but that's essentially how the subjugation of these women in the book works. And then there are also other women who are your Aunt Lydia's, who, that's the term for them, and they are the women who subjugate and force the women who are fertile into this grouping. It's a very sort of sick and twisted things, and you'll oftentimes at different political protests, you'll see women wearing the big habits, the big hoods, and the red dresses as a protest of whatever, you know, law or group they're protesting, saying that if you go forward with this, you're basically making us the women from The Handmaid's Tale.
Gotcha, great description. Dr. Carol Lieberman, now we don't know if it was the author, the subject matter, or just wanting to be in a room with women who maybe were avoiding him. Any which way, it was a little unusual though, right? Because there's not very many men in that room with him.
Yes, but I don't really think he was there to pick up women, because that, you know, he could have been doing that. He was going to college there where this lecture was taking place, his junior college. And he had all kind of opportunities every day, really, to mingle with these women. That's why I think it was really primarily for this author to be in her presence and to listen to what she was going to be talking about. Even sitting there, you know, he has this kind of strange smirk on his face. It almost looks like he's fantasizing while she's talking in this lecture in the college room.
Unbelievable developments. But, you know, where we are now, people everywhere digging up information, and here we have this photo of the alleged killer. And again, big hearing coming up tomorrow. Caitlin Becker, senior reporter, dailymail.com. Dr. Carol Lieberman, thank you both so much. Appreciate your time.